Hey guys, what's up? You are tuned into Marsh City Mike. We are live and kicking it right here with on this wonderful Thursday afternoon, man. November is flying by, man. It seems like this year is about to be just over in like 5 minutes. But today I'm super excited about the conversation that we about to have. We about to jump into. I want to introduce Mr. Willie Turral. Um, Willie, you here with us, man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you
What's up,
doing?
man? How you doing, man? How you doing?
Man, blessed, man. Blessed. Happy to be
That's
alive.
good, man. I'm glad you was able to stop by. I appreciate you accepting the invite, to sit down and, have a deep conversation about, a lot of the things that are going on in your community, on our community, and to talk about, I guess, some things, about your life, where things have gone with you and that type of stuff. So, I appreciate you stopping by, March tonight.
Absolutely.
And just to let callers know, we are taking calls. This is our first time taking calls. So if you are interested in calling in and talking to Mr. Willie, asking him some questions, having a conversation, please give us a call 843-321-8402. That's 843-321-8402. But we're gonna jump right into it, man. So just first, man, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. I know you own Willie's. Tell us a little bit about Willie's and tell us a little bit about how you came to be, man.
Yeah, so Willie Turral, just a country kid from St. Helena Island, born down here next to Penn Center. Done a lot of different things, education, been a director of operation, touched in politics, graduated Charles School of Law over the summer, and the owner, CEO, Willie's Breakfast Bar and Grill. So we've been in operation for about a year. We were 5-star rated on Google, but one hater popped in, so we're about 4.8 right now. But yeah, we localize, like we do breakfasts and also Gullah inspired dishes and cuisines. It's been a really cool year, man. So even in operation of Willie's, we kind of came out with a breakfast model and allowed ourselves to be flexible in what we did. We've had regularly attended jazz shows that sells out with D's Guys band coming, a great band out of Hilton Head, Reggie D's. A lot of folks know him through the school district. We've had parties, we've had events, we've done birthdays, we've done it all. We even myself competed in two cooking competitions in Rock Hill, winning both times. So being able to take Gullah Geechee food on the road and being able to go against some of the best chefs in the area and win is pretty amazing. So it's just been a wild ride, man. It's been a wild ride, and we just blessed and happy that we've been allowed to be on this ride.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. I'm glad that definitely things are looking up. Especially for business. That was the old Island Grill for those island folks
Hmm.
that have been there, for years and that type of deal. So to definitely keep that alive and running, man. That's wonderful. But I definitely I know you said so. You said you started at the when you graduated from the Charleston School of Law. So let's start back there. When so you graduated from the Charleston School of Law, and then how long were you there for?
So, oh man, I was there too long. So I think I started kind of right when COVID hit. I got to so it might have been like 3.5, almost 4 years ago at this point that I started. That right there was uh, it was a humbling experience. First week I had back surgery. I mean, that's how I kicked it off. Then through failed elections, all kind of stuff, man. It was a lot of obstacles, and it was a lot of opportunities to just walk away and just say, well, maybe it's not for me. But of course, that's not my mindset. That's definitely not how I was raised, and that's definitely not how I taught as a teacher. So to go from a teacher to being taught, you kind of expect to have your way with the table, and then life kind of does its own thing. So definitely took hard work, took grit, took determination. I mean, I wasn't an online school. We talking 4 hours in the car after
Mhm.
back surgery, every day going to Charleston, sitting in traffic, pain shooting down my leg, crying in class sometimes, having to stand up and just saying to myself, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna finish it. God is with us, so just keep walking. So to finally to get everything done, get everything situated over the summer, walking in December, I'm just blessed, man. I'm extremely thankful for that opportunity.
So, you said you were, definitely in your question, in your answer, you said, I guess, failed campaign. So, well, not failed campaign, but I guess definitely the campaign didn't turn out the way you wanted it, right? So, would that be, I guess, the campaign you were talking for auditor?
Yeah, I'm talking about the auto campaign. So
Okay, okay.
so I know we'll get to the
So,
writing later. And that's a
yeah,
whole
we
juicy
gonna
bundle,
get
but
into that.
yeah. But the auto
So,
campaign was much different from the writing campaign, and the auto
okay.
campaign, that came on, and a lot of people don't know. I started, I got involved in politics several years ago, and the involvement came from folks being arrested and treated different ways on St. Helena Island. Me, Daryl Orsman, Najma Thomas got up, and we wanted to make a stand and make some corrections in the way citizens was treated. What we saw as unfair treatment to certain residents based off of their location, their skin color, and other things that we just thought wasn't right. So that
Mhm.
was the initial push to get in. Once getting in, I had to be in a Joe Witness. I was born a Joe Witness, so I never voted. I was not allowed to participate in any political process or until that, until as an adult, where I wanted to get involved myself. And I really had to figure out like where I lie politically. I know that there's a kind of stigma that if you're black, you're a Democrat, but I've never been that type of person to take things at face value. I'm an educator. I'm a lifelong learner, and I
Mhm.
wanted to really dive into what each political party represented outside of what I was fed through media, which I know has its own color and persuasion and agenda. Um, and so when I did my history, when I did my research, I could not see myself as anything other than a Republican candidate. I mean, this was the party of Robert Smalls. This party represented the values that I wanted to bring. And even if the people who were purporting themselves to be Republicans, or even the people who were representative of the Republican Party, even though my values didn't necessarily align with their values as far as a party and as far as an identity, this was the house I chose. And to me, it was more or less like if this is grandma's house, right? This is Robert Small's house, and if we don't like
Yeah.
the people in the house, I'm not just gonna walk away and let you have it. I'm gonna come clean it up. And so I began campaigning, joined the Young Republicans, started campaigning on these conservative values that I thought were very important for people, especially Black people in my community, to understand the platform and to understand, what politics really was. And have, a lot of us don't, honestly. I mean, a lot of us don't understand the political realm. We don't understand the politics. We don't understand what these decisions or these talking points that people are coming up with and how they impact us on a day-to-day basis. And me diving in and doing my research, I went with my intellect and my research, and my heart told me was the way to go. And so I kind of front load on that to say, when I joined the political party, Republican Party, I tripled the membership of the Beaufort County Republican Party,
Mm.
to an extent that Katie Arrington was mentioning me at a national debate. Folks that I was talking was saying, "Run for president." You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
they even wrote an article up about the Beaufort County Republican Party being tripled in membership. That was on my back. That was on me going to every precinct and speaking my story, my message. And so I found it, that is much different than this election, in the fact that here I am tripling the party. Here I am, all these senators and politicians, they know me from the work I put in. Everybody's reaching out to me from the work and this was before I decided to run for anything. This is just me speaking honestly and truthfully, and having a great impact. And then these folks came, which almost seem like vultures now, to put their arms around me and get with this young black rising star of the Republican Party, only to throw me down for being the black rising star of the Republican Party. So it's really a weird dynamic
Mm.
of that
Mm.
election, and I had to deal with that. While going through law school, which
Okay.
was which was a whole different situation than the write-in, and I'm sure we'll get into that later.
Yeah, we definitely are gonna get into the writing and those aspects right there. Another question that definitely I've heard a lot was so you're the president of the Republican the Young Republicans, correct?
Correct.
Here. Um, for auditor, what made you? I know you said that you wanted to make a change in the community. How could the auditor position make a change in the community? With you, do you have any financial background, anything? So, what made you say I'm going to run for auditor?
Well, one, definitely the auditor can impact the community, and more
Mhm.
importantly, it's the money, right? It's the money trail, and so it was really having an opportunity to get into the money trail of Beaufort County, because if you follow the money, it'll take you everywhere you need to go. And so the auditor's position has that ability. And part of me choosing the auditor had less to do with my personal desires and more what was fitting and what was appropriate for Beaufort County Republican Party. So to be honest, they wanted me to run for auditor more so than I wanted to run for auditor. There was
Okay.
issues in the auditor office with Beckert, still issues in the auditor. You see the stuff in the newspaper. He was getting sued by Maria Walls, the treasurer. David Cadd, the one who won, was Becker's right hand man. As she has spoken out previously, he was either involved in the harassment or at least silent in the harassment. It's still a lot of weird stuff going on in the auditor's office. I mean, it was a mess. And so I was bringing a sense of leadership, a sense of team building, a sense of guidance. They knew I could go in. They knew I could work with Maria. They knew that I would be humble enough to work with all the different faculties to bring transparency to the office and to get the auditor's office running well oiled with the treasurer's office, because they go hand in hand. And so that to have conflicts between the treasurer and the auditor, it just costs Beaufort County in terms of tax money. And so it's simple that was the biggest fire, and they challenged me to run and help put it out.
Okay. So, did you have any, I guess, previous financial, I guess, like, were you ever in banking or anything like that to say, I'm qualified to run for auditor?
Well, I mean, you got to understand what the auditor does, and
Okay.
what that position is. I'm an elected position, so I'm not
Gotcha.
here to crunch all the numbers. I'm here to run a business. I'm here to run an office.
Okay.
If they wanted somebody just to be a number cruncher, they wouldn't elect the auditor. You would just hire them, right? Like, so that
Mhm.
as elected position, I'm here to represent the people and represent the values, the transparency. So it was less about my skills. Now, did I have skills? Absolutely. I'm director of operations and my kids 7 years before I even went to that. I'm a teacher of advanced
Yeah.
mathematics and science engineering. I graduated from TCL with
Okay.
science, technology, engineering degree, associate's degree before I went to USCB. So did I have the skills? Absolutely, I had the skills. I was overqualified, honestly, but more importantly, we had CPOs and CPAs. We have smart and talented people inside the Beaufort County. We
Mhm.
don't need a micromanager who's not allowing these folks who are qualified, who are hired to
Mhm.
do their job. So I was going in here to make sure the job got done, to report back to the people.
Okay. So, what made you? What do you think was the reason why you didn't win that campaign?
Well,
What could have you done different, essentially, I guess, to make sure that you crossed that finish line and won that finish line?
I think one, I would say that I don't know if I would want to have done anything differently to win the campaign.
Okay.
Everything is in God's will, and whatever His plan was, if that office was for me, I surely would have won. I didn't
Mhm.
win, and that means that office wasn't for me. I more or less just want to be responsible and be obedient to wherever I'm called, and whatever the mission is. It's not a good feeling, putting yourself out there and losing. But I'm faithful, and I have to trust in His judgment. So I don't know if I would have wanted a different result, because I think we got the right result. We got the result that was needed to accomplish whatever the true agenda is.
Okay. So going a little forward after the campaign and that type of deal, you whereas the next step with you, I guess, with Waffle House, I guess, were you working at Waffle House as a manager for some time there?
Yes, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll call that my next step.
Well, not next step, but I mean, obviously, when I say next
Yeah.
step, I'm just
So
thinking I could use a little bit better word, but unfortunately, you know, hey, you had to do
I
something,
was I
man.
was broke and needed a job, and
Hey,
that's just keep it a buck.
understandable. Hey,
So when I got into the law school, I had saved up pretty good. I mean, I had a plan jumping out, and so like again through the back surgeries, put my own money into the campaign and different things, and I think those are the hurtful parts is how much I invested into the campaign and how much that sidetracked me. So it just get to a point where like I was past the point of where I should have been in terms of being out of law school or being in a different place. And I had to find a way now to modify this plan that had changed on me. And so Waffle House was really through, one of my frat bros being like, "Hey man, just come cook, and I'll pay you to cook at nights." And I was
mhm,
like, "Yeah, that'd be easy. I'll come in at night, I'll cook, I can finish going to school." And just so happened, I filled the wrong application out, and they saw the background, and of course, they wanted to seize on the assets and experiences I had, and that's how Waffle House came to be.
okay. And through that, unfortunately, it did come out in the news, that you had some legal issues with Waffle House. They they were claiming that I guess you were charged with breach of trust and fraudulent intent and crimes, um, and the Computer Crimes Act first degree. Um,
Hmm.
so what happened? Like, I guess what happened with that? Or I mean, obviously, I know you're in a pending legal case or that type of deal. But
Right.
I guess for them, I don't want you to, a whole bunch of whole case out or anything like that, man.
I mean, yeah.
Oh
I mean,
man,
it is what it is, though, and I never had a problem speaking about it. It's actually quite crazy because nobody was ever questioned about that. Literally, Waffle House in 2024 reduced me to a slave. They sent the
mm,
dog catchers and they put me in jail without asking one question. I was never questioned. No staff was ever questioned. No manager was ever questioned. No district, no division manager. And so what they said was a complete lie. And it was again just. I mean, if I could tie all these strings, I wish I could really tie the strings. I
yeah,
think people would begin to say I'm a conspiracy theorist. Like, that's just how deep it is. But it would be true.
yes,
Um, my campaign was circulated around Waffle House Corporation after I left.
yes,
Some former investigator from Georgia called the police department after I opened my business, Willie's, and said that a year after I left and started an account, somehow it became fraudulent that they didn't know about. That was a complete and utter lie. You know what I'm saying? And like
mhm,
the timing, like really, like so when I got to Waffle House, the store, the unit I was in was one that was set to be closed, as I was told. It was one of the most struggling units. I was put on something called the snail race with one other unit in the whole uh, corporation list of Waffle Houses, and we smoked them. I mean, we ran up sales almost $365,000 more in sales that year, and I did it the same way I do everything. Approach it with an open mind, be flexible, create new ideas, put teams in place. Um, the same team that I built up at Waffle House when I opened Willie's, those same staff members jumped over to me, and actually, the immediately after I hired two staff from Waffle House, I got a call saying I stole money.
mhm,
you know, hurtful, man. And I begged and pleaded with the arresting officer to let me show you the emails, the text messages. That like there's got to be over
yeah,
4,000 interactions with management of Waffle House and what they claimed they didn't know about. It's easy to see that this was a lie. I never seen where somebody goes to jail and is trying to talk and trying to like tell on themselves. If you think that you have a case, let me come tell on myself then. Let me show you everything I have.
mhm,
Didn't want to hear it. So when you have that type of arrest on that type of a level of a person who carries that type of weight, and you don't ask one question, you don't ask no employee in the building, no manager in the building, not even a person you're arresting, that's a hit. That's not an arrest. There's it's and that's the other side of politics in the media. You'll see the arrest, but you won't
yeah,
see when I'm exonerated. That's going to be quietly done. I'm not having
yeah,
it this time though. So I can assure you, I've given the arresting agency and Waffle
mhm,
House time enough to see the error of their ways and correct it. They failed to do so. So I got to take action. And I hate to be again, because that was one of the things said against me. Willie Turral has a problem with the cops. I don't. I have a problem with black folks being arrested without uh, cause. I have a problem
Yeah.
with folk. Like, I have a problem with the way black folks are treated by some cops in some situations. I don't have a problem with cops at all. I got so many officer friends. It's ridiculous. It's probably one of my first dreams is to be an officer. I always ran my kids, my programs in my schools with a high level of discipline and excellence. If you ever see me, you know I'm dressed right, dressed, my shirt's in, my pants is up. I've never been one to promote anarchy or chaos. So it's laughable, but to take me to do that to me, without trying to get into tears on the radio, it just, it's like, how in 2024 can the whole community watch this happen to you and nobody say
Mhm.
anything? Nobody do anything. People ask dumb questions like, "Oh, why'd you do?" Like, what are you serious? Like, you think I
Yeah.
came this far in my life to take coins? Like, you
Mhm.
to take coins, and even what they try to trump up, like, it's so false in every narrative that they try to chuck up. All the evidence would show that this is a lie. And then when I look back and say, well, you use this camera to create this lie, that same camera could have told the truth, then I know that you have an agenda. But I think it's one that they'll end up paying for a lot.
Mhm. So with that, do you feel like you still have the public's trust, even though
Um,
in the court of
No,
you know?
absolutely not. I feel
Mhm.
like that's part of the reason why they're gonna have to pay me a whole bunch of money. Because when
Okay.
you do stuff like that, that's the whole reason why you have defamation suits. You put this out. Yeah, I have my friends' trust. I have my
Mhm.
employees' trust. I have
Mhm.
anybody who's ever dealt with Willie Terrell is like on a personal level. They they're not going to be swayed. You know what I'm saying? Because they know how I operate. I've never been accused of such ridiculousness. I've never moved, and so, like, that's crazy. That's crazy to me that they would assume I would even put myself to incur them kind of risk, going through law school. Like, there's nothing in that building that they could tempt me to take to hinder my law career, and hence the reason why they did what they did. So and the evidence will come out. Like, they wanted me to be the Waffle House superstar, and I told them, like, I'm in law school. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah,
in law school. Like, I'm in
that
law
wasn't
school.
your end goal.
I'm not doing it. I understand I
Yeah.
made y'all a lot of money, but I gotta go. And it was all good until I opened Willie's. So I mean, who you
Mhm.
think is lying? Do you think I suddenly at 30 something years old in the middle of law school decided to take coins and put myself at risk? Or do you think when I opened up a competing restaurant, after showing them that I could run a restaurant 10 times better than they could? Come on, man. It's easy. Like, it's easy.
So you acquire Willie's, and then after you acquire Willie's, that's when this whole story kind of broke. Is what
It's in the
you're
police
saying?
report. The first thing
Okay.
in the police report says they did this, and Willie, 7 Dr. Martin Luther King. So, like, they, they told on themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I left Waffle House in November. Like, I'm getting ready to do my grand. They actually came to pick me up the day of my grand opening, and I ain't heard from them since. So that's a hit. Like, what was the rush? The rush to get
Mhm.
me in jail for my grand opening, like, and it worked. And Willie's has it's been a harder struggle. I've had to do this without any funding from anywhere, and I can't get
Okay.
funding. It doesn't mean possible
Yeah.
for me to get funding because everywhere I go, I have to put that these charges are looming. So this was a insidious corporation, a greedy corporation, who saw a chance to take out what would probably be the end of them, and they swung the bat. I understand the fear that they had, and they probably should be fearful because at the end of the day, Willie's will probably swallow Waffle House.
Mhm. Hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do, and hey, and that's that's your drive, and Willie's probably would probably swallow Waffle House, right? So you got to keep going, you got to keep moving. You are guys are still tuned in. We appreciate you, Marsh City Mike. We're here with Willie Turral, and we're just sitting down having a conversation. Just give us a call 843-321-8402, 843-321-8402. So let's move into some of your recent Facebook posts. I guess in the past week or so, you look like you started a writing candidacy, before election day for county council seat. But you made some posts that were, I guess, blowing up on Facebook. I guess one was the first post. Started off with your decision to boycott Penn Center. Um,
Right.
what made you post that? What made you come to that I guess essentially that um decision to say, hey, look, you guys boycott Penn Center. You guys come see me at Willie's and just leave Penn
Right.
Center alone.
It really was a straw that breaks the camel back, and that's more of a loaded question because there's part of me that looks at Penn Center as my home, right, where I grew up at. I was born next to Penn Center. I used to walk across Penn Center as a child every day to go to daycare. You know what I'm saying? I was born and raised, and I will always Penn Center will always be a special place to me. But there's the straw that breaks the camel back, and it becomes a time where if you remain silent and you become part of the problem, you become complicit in the problem. And I just cannot continue to remain silent. Honestly, I was left with no other choice. Penn Center is a 501c3 and is prohibited by the laws of the land, by federal laws, from participating in any election. And we have to be nonpartisan to be a 501c3. So when I come out and I see Penn Center removing all my political signs and then putting signs up that say we support York, I put boycott Penn Center, but I could go a lot further and remove their 501c3 status and remove their ability to grant funding because they have violated the laws. The law of the land. They're not support. So yeah, I'm boycotting them. And that was the nicest route I could take. That was a route that I took by myself through my social circle using my freedom of speech. But I could still push further because what they did was violate their 501c3 status, and they should have it revoked, honestly, for participating in a political election. And that's the law of the land. It's nothing I created. It was like that before I got there. So if Penn Center purports to be a 501c3 and they want to represent the community, how to operate and conduct themselves accordingly. And it's not for me to walk behind them and make sure that they do the right thing. But when you take certain steps to deprive me of opportunities and this is ongoing. Penn Center has removed my Willie signs when they were put out in places that should not have been touched by Penn Center. This is a place where I constantly walk over to across the street and pick up from the crackheads in the park. Excuse my language, but that's what it is. I mean, anybody who's on St. Helena Island understands that this park constantly holds the type of engagement and activity that's not productive to the community. I go over there in the mornings and pick up beer bottles and cigarette butts and all kind of objects at Penn Center. How ridiculous is of you to come and remove my signs or to take a crack at me or try to deprive me of a benefit, somebody who's supposed to be your champion. You call me to do your MLK speech. You use me to do programs. You use me to do farming. You use me. But then when I come out on my own, you don't support me. I can't stand for that.
Mhm. What do you think? I guess would bring you two guys back together, essentially, if at anything.
Well, I guess when Penn Center comes to the rationality of, doing what it's supposed to do and protecting and supporting and pushing the agenda of the community and its people down here, then we'll be on the
Mhm.
same page. But immediately after I said that, people start to see why I have such hurt when it goes to Penn Center. Well, as an educator, uh, 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 to see my students marching in a parade while cars are driving by them on the other lane, everybody should boycott Penn Center. What are we doing? Like, these are kids. Like, and then what's the traffic? You telling me the Fripp Island traffic, or these folks that are the Fripp Island traffic are older population? How irresponsible is to have these older population driving past kids during a parade? Anything could happen. You understand what I'm saying? Anything that could, like, somebody could have just, that could have been their time going to Fripp, and they veer off and take six kids with them. It's a parade. Like, that's so disrespectful. I mean, it's crazy. So, and that's Penn Center. Like, who else? Like, that's Marie Gibbs and the committee, and everybody's talking about Tanner. No, let's go to the people who signed the paper, who changed the route. And honestly, if I'm director of Penn Center, I don't care if I got to stand in the road. This is how the parade's gonna run. Take a stand and stop hiring these weak and obsolete directors. You brought in Robert Adams, and so far he's risked the 501c3 status by participating in parade. He's locked hands with people who are gutting the community, I mean, risk the 501c by participating in the campaign, lock hands with people who are gutting the community, and now you're allowing the parade to be just completely disrespected and trampled on. Why are we hiring these horrible directors? And I think it's purposeful. Me myself put in for director of Penn Center. They could have had a qualified person from here who would have guaranteed the parade route wouldn't have been changed and made the right decisions and actually done what was supposed to be done when resources are given to Penn Center. You know, 2 point something million dollars going to Penn Center renovations, and every time you ride by, you see broken tractors and trash. Penn Center looks like a trash dump if you ever been around the back of it. So it's like, man, no, I just think we've been silent too long, and I don't see the advantage. I don't see how I'm helping my community by knowing a bunch and saying nothing. I can't hear you, Lawrence. That's why having the truth come out, man. They cut the mic. They don't want to hear the truth, man. See what I'm saying?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I don't know what happened. Sorry about that. So we were talking about, I guess, Penn Center, and I guess Penn Center's the parade and the parade route, right? So information has come out, I guess, that saying that he pretty much that Penn Center, I guess the DOT um didn't approve, I guess, the traditional parade route. That I guess the meetings that were there really were just not that Penster didn't even really, I guess, apply for the the paperwork, I guess, for the parade route, and the DOT and the county applied for it by itself. Um, what are your feelings and thoughts on that? I mean, now Center, with and with a couple of posts, I guess, saying, hey, look, join our committee. We have a meeting, I guess, in a couple weeks to talk about, what we're right with heritage, what we're wrong with heritage, things like that. What are your thoughts, I guess, about how they, kind of handled, I guess, that parade just in general?
Yeah, so I mean, my thoughts are the same. When I said boycott Penn Center, I mean it's my point. It's absolutely like Penn Center is failing. The leadership there is beyond their prime. There are many relevant, young, youthful folks that you could get in to spearhead that organization, and instead they've created almost like a age cap where you got so many people in these positions that either don't have the knowledge or the energy to get it done. You dropped the ball. You dropped the ball on one of the most important event for us in St. Helena Island is the heritage. Like the fact that you didn't even put in paperwork, and didn't have the integrity to come out and tell the community what's going on. Like, you know, if you drop the ball, okay, come to us and say, look, we messed up. We didn't get the routing this year and it's changing. Don't worry, this is a 1 year thing. This is our fault. But you sat silent and you try to point the finger and make it seem like the white folks did it. Nah, the right folks did it. You, like, Penn Center did it, and you know,
Mhm.
this is my problem.
Okay. Um, so going forward, do you think that, I mean, maybe you would help, I guess progress Penn Center, if we're looking at it as, hey, look, we need fresh eyes, we need fresh blood, that type of deal, right? You're right down the street. Do you see yourself helping progress Penn Center, to heritage to what it used to be?
Um, you know, that I don't know. You know, I don't know. I had mixed emotions about Penn Center. I think I found myself, to be honest, in a position very much in the gap of society. I don't have a lot of friends because, you know, I'm going off of like truth, and a lot of folks have been fed and believed a lie. And so I don't know. I don't know if there's. I don't know if I have a future with Penn Center. I don't know if I even believe in the idea. One of the comments I got on my page was, to the regards of, my ancestors would not have learned to read or write and go to college if not for Penn Center. I disagree 100% wholeheartedly. I don't even get in that sentiment. I don't believe in the, you know, abolitionists and the Penn Center movement and the saviors of the slave people. That's ridiculous to me. I mean, historically speaking, everything, science, technology, mathematics, engineering, arithmetic, business, commerce. These are things that came out of African nations, whether it's Ethiopia, Timbuktu, you know, whether we're talking about Egypt. These are the roots, the foundations of science and learning and teaching. So now somehow these same folks came over not knowing how to read, not knowing how to write. Not That's crazy. So I just don't believe in this whole savior syndrome where I feel as if, you know, my folks, my ancestors were somewhere helpless, and then a different nationality, race, culture came and saved us. I don't think that's what history says, and I'm pretty sure my ancestors don't feel that way. I'm pretty sure my ancestors saved themselves, and to discredit them and to continue to discredit them and give the hard work that Black Americans made to fight for their piece of equality and fair treatment in America, and to put that on some other group, I'm not going to do that. So I don't sign up. So I mean, I respect Penn Center. I believe in Penn Center, but I'm sorry, my history and my legacy does not start with William Penn, or any Penn, or you know, any surname at all. You know, mine is deep rooted, and it goes back into who I am, and my migration and my history, and I'm good with that. Like, I love who I am. I love my skin color. I love my ancestry. I love everything that it represents. And so I don't know. It depends on where Penn goes. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, if Penn comes to, like, if it goes forward and it becomes something relevant for the people, good. But if it becomes some, you know, archaic and no longer has purpose, and then no.
Okay. Getting back to, your Facebook post, a couple posts after that, you definitely were talking about some of some community members in the community. Did you want to talk a little bit about, I guess those posts, I guess, about, those community members that you kind of, definitely
Well, yeah, you got a lot of community members who were born in New York, you know, taking advantage of culture vultures, taking advantage of the culture. They know who they are. Come out and say they speak and represent the culture. Well, I'm not no come yeah, been yeah. I was born yeah. You know what I'm saying? This is my house. This is my home. So if anybody seeks to remove me from it, you got one hell of a fight on your hands. I have children, a business, businesses. I've conduct like, this is my island. I'm on this island. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I just I'm it's hurtful to these all these folks that are now champions of the island. Where were you when I was teaching these kids? Where were you when it's time to volunteer? Where are you now? If you're so impactful, how are you stopping these black boys from shooting each other? Like, stop acting as if y'all are so involved and have so much of a reach in this community when you don't. And that's the reason why I jumped in the write-in election anyway. It wasn't for me. I
Yeah.
had kids calling me from college saying, "Mr. Terrell, this is our first year voting, and we can't vote for you."
Mhm.
And I'm like, man, it's late. They're like, we don't care if you win or not. We want to be able to vote for you. And so I hopped in to write in for the kids. I'm always going to be invested in the future. And anybody who's trying to come against me, or anybody who's got this that to say, or either one, grossly misinformed, two, bought out, paid for, or three, is not here for the future of St. Helena. And that's what I'm here for.
So we talk about, we talked a little several times about your writing candidacy. So we're gonna get right into it, right? So when did you jump into writing candidacy for it? Because it seemed like it was like real late in the game that you jumped into the writing candidacy for that
Man,
county
I,
council.
I got in this thing about 2 weeks before the voting started. And anybody understand politics, understand you can't. I say you shouldn't say you can. You can. It's highly improbable that you win a write-in at any point in time. Even more so on a presidential election year where you have a enormous amount of people doing straight down voting. So for you
Yeah.
to be a write-in, then like it would take immense amount of money, a lot of campaign time. I mean, it could be done, but you got to understand the mountain you climb. So there's nothing in my spirits when I got in that says I'm going to win this campaign, and I didn't get in to win the campaign. I got in to do exactly what it did: bring some light to some of these issues and give my students, my youth, those who had their first time in a political process, a reason to come to the polls. I had people texting me saying, my son just left out from college to come write you in. This is kids are getting involved. And what people don't understand is Isaac Gordon school district is a school district because I ran. There's Terry. These are so many people that are coming into politics. I don't have to win. As long as they see that I'm running, people are coming in behind me. I'm changing the impact in the landscape and making it better for the community by putting myself out there. I take the briars. I don't always win, but I take the briars and I create a path. I build a bridge for others to get in. So when you see all this movement on the school board, just know that a lot of that, most of it, 90%, I would say, comes from people seeing people like Willie Turral or just seeing Willie Turral. And that in itself is a win for the community.
Okay. So, with you getting in so late, right? Your main focus really wasn't to win. It was just, what was your main focus in getting in so late? Obviously, because just like you said, a writing candidate, especially on the presidential election year, right? Most people are not really gonna go through that whole list of things. They just gonna say straight Democrat, straight Republican,
Right.
that type of deal, walk out the door. They'll vote for a
Right.
couple bond referendums and call it a day, right? So your main focus really there was to empower the youth, is what you were saying. I
Yeah,
guess
and again, Lawrence, people understand me. They know I'm deeply, I would say, spiritual. A lot of things that I'm do or I will do, the movements I make, they come from convictions and beliefs that I have, callings that I believe that are given that are higher than me. And so when you see me do something, everybody like, oh, that's crazy. It might be, but that's what the calling was. That's where I was called, and I'm obedient. So when I got people coming in, students coming in, and they're saying the type of things that they're saying, then my job is to go out here and lead and inspire and be a leader. It doesn't have to mean I have to be elected. I just have to lead. And being that York was uncontested, and there was many issues to be had and to be raised, I wanted to inspire people to either A, come out and write me in, or B, say next time, like, oh, I want to run. Like, I want to do that. Like, Willie could do it. I can do it. And I've already had several people come to me and saying, I'm running. I guarantee you there'll be somebody on running against York next time. I've spoke to several of them and says, you inspired me. I'm going to do it. And that's the point. That's what it is. It's pushing that boulder forward. It might be hard. It might take time. It might take energy. It might take some of your life. I might never see that wheel get to where I wanted to be in my lifetime, but we have to put our hands on it. We have to push that wheel if we ever going to get there. And so it's just part of me doing my part to push the agenda forward and to make a better place on St. Helena Island for these kids.
So would you run against York Glover next time?
Uh, so
And
I don't.
not in the campaign where I guess it's 2 weeks out, right? And it was just for a statement, but to actually say I'm gonna run and try to win this seat, would you run again?
I don't know. I don't know, Lawrence. Like I said, it all depends. I've talked to a lot of good people who are interested in running next time. I think if
Okay.
we get the right people to run, I would support them. I'm all about pushing the agenda forward. I'm really not about serving myself. Maybe if I'm called to, I will.
Okay.
If I'm not, then wherever I'm called, that's where I'm gonna go. So I'm not. It's not in my plans. It's not something I'm preparing for or thinking about. But if it manifests, and if I do run, I'll run on the ticket and I win.
Okay. When you say, I guess, so what do you see a difference being with somebody? So, like, if somebody was elected to, county council or to any, like a city council seat. Excuse me, I live by the air station, so um, if we if you see a difference, I guess with somebody on the county council seat, what do you see that person making a difference in? So when I say that to say, so like if they were elected to the county council seat, let's say you won that seat, how would you make a difference on that county council, or how would a person
Oh,
make a difference on that county council?
well, I'll tell you. So that's a two-part question. Let's just say somebody else elected. Somebody else elected, then of course, you're supporting a person who's bringing the solutions to the problems that exist. Right. Right now, it's transparency. Right now, it's a lack of concern, a lack of respect for the wishes of the constituents of District 3. So that's the first thing. Now, if I'm on county council, I mean, I'm definitely going to change the game. One, when you get on council, people have to understand the way politics work. Like, just being on the council means absolutely nothing if you can't get the vote of 10, right? You need the other council members to be able to see your way and be able to support the objective and the items that you bring out, because that's how council works. You're not in there in a pocket. You have to be able to connect. And I probably, I'm definitely be one of the more powerful and influential figures if I was ever to be on the county seat, because of the connections I have with almost every council member that's there now. I mean, you look at what's going on now. You look at the Beaufort County. A lot of folks showed up dealing with the Wesley Felix. That Wesley Felix project, that redirection of money comes directly from Willie Turral. Like, I directly came to a financial meeting, and if I'm honest, we talk about the developer, the same developer that everybody's throwing the stones at, called me early in that week and said, Willie, do you know about this being built on Wesley Felix? I had no idea myself, no idea. He showed me information. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Immediately, the research began, developing the research, looking at what is due, look where's the funds coming from. All this work now goes in. People don't see this work. And then emails are going out to county council members. A few of them responded. York Glover didn't respond to the email. Oh well, calling up Carrie Major, letting her know what's going on, getting support. So now you see where there might be an opportunity to bifurcate these funds and give St. Helena a real community center. That comes from the actions of myself, and probably what you won't get credit for. But what happens is, I'm on that county seat, a powerful change, where we begin to get the respect, the resources, and the opportunities on St. Helena, building, planning, development, because if you don't have a plan,
Hello.
you plan to fail, you fail to plan. And so, uh, you
Hello.
know, hello.
I think we got a caller. Oh well, I guess we don't got a
Did
caller
she hang
anymore.
up?
My bad, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
she hung
so
up.
what somebody else might bring might be a little different than what I'm gonna bring. But I think there's a lot of work that could be done without you being on the council seat, and that's the biggest thing. That if I can inspire anybody to do anything, I want to inspire people that you don't need a council seat to get to these county meetings, to get involved and make changes.
Okay. Looks like we got a caller. So I'm gonna take this call right quick. Okay, hold on 1 second. Thanks for calling Marsh City Mike. You can go ahead. You on Willie Turral Lawrence.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This is Tiana.
Tiana Parker, how are you?
I am doing
TP.
well. Wasn't feeling too good, so I tuned in kind of late, but I'm here and I have a question. It's actually touching on something that I have a question in regards to. Like, I know there's a lot going on with land on the island. Um, Willie, were you aware of a Pine Island before all this? Like, um hit the ceiling, like before the guy came out wanting to do what he wanted to do with the land that he bought? Were you aware of that Pine Island even existed
I've been
prior
on
to
this
that?
island. 36 years, I never heard of Pine Island. I still didn't know when they was talking about it. I thought it was in Bluffton, Hilton Head somewhere. Never been.
Hello.
It's been gated and cut off. We've never. So folks said they knew about Pine Island. I didn't. If I'm honest, never knew it existed.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear y'all now.
Okay.
Were y'all able to hear my question?
Yeah, he just responded to your question.
Okay, I missed that.
Oh,
Yeah, can you hear me, Tiana? I don't know if she can hear me.
I don't think she can hear you.
Okay, no, I can't hear Willie, but what was the response? Because I think there's a second part to the question based on the answer.
So I guess essentially, he was saying that he's never heard
No.
of Pine Island, and he's been here all of his life.
Okay, so how would developing anything at all, even the houses, well, the houses, of course, they develop houses on the land. If they're talking about at least 162 houses. So we know that will affect the economy a whole lot more than it would to develop just a golf course and what he projects to develop on there. Do you think the community really cares about the land, or do you think they are trying to just stop this young man from being able to do what he wants to do with the property that he purchased? And that's a real question. I'm not like, I got land on the island and I got, family on the island, but I haven't lived over there to understand how, it may or may not affect the people on the island.
So Tiana won't hear this answer, but let me give it anyway. Um, I honestly believe we have been completely misled, and one of the biggest campaigns of misinformation that I've seen on St. Helena Island. From the moment I jumped in, I jumped into a campaign that was orchestrated as No Gates, No Golf. It was highly funded by the CCL. It was highly supported by Penn Center. And they did what they did. They rallied up the troops and they got folks really galvanized around an issue that truly wasn't the issue at all. And so hence my reason of really having distaste for the leadership, because you continuously misuse the folks and people of St. Helena Island. Like nobody knew about Pine Island. Nobody knew about Pine Island, so they made that an issue for the purposes of what they're trying to do. And it's sad because certain things I can't talk about because I've sat, in this legal process. But what I can tell you is that the folks on the other side who's purporting to be champions of No Gates, No Golf, and they don't care one lick about people on St. Helena, and they don't care one lick about what we care about. They're in it for themselves. This is about power and money and greed, and we're just the sheeps, the pawns, the ones that's put in the middle. And what's sad is the developer actually came in with a really good heart, and he really came in to help out the people of St. Helena. Maybe that's what they're really against. This guy wants to sit down and do a development agreement that dedicates funds directly back into small businesses and the hands of people on St. Helena. Why all of a sudden, like when everybody else comes here and takes from us, you're good with that. When somebody comes and is trying to give something back, now you got a problem. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't line up. So I'm disgusted, man, at this whole situation, how it's rolled out, how they keep lying and telling these folks this man can't build, he won't build, and again, like TP mentioned, how did this even become an issue about a parcel of land that's not been part of St. Helena, that's has a pre-existing plot plan, that's been privately owned for 200 something years, whatever it may be. How did this even become an issue? How are we even so involved in this fight when we don't even have water in our fire hydrants? You get what I'm saying? Like, how did you draw us out of what was really going on to get locked into Pine Island, right? Fighting for benefits that never come to us, a piece of land that we're never going to touch. And also on just complete misinformation. You said that the houses would raise, I mean, the golf course would raise property value. That's an absolute lie. A golf course cannot raise property values of residential because it's not a residential facility. You know what I'm saying? It's a business. When do you do evaluations of a house based off a business? That's not how comps work. Comps work on the other houses, right? So the say that it's going to raise property value is a lie, because actually what you're forcing the developer to do and build 162 homes, that'll raise property values because now you got $160 million homes next to you. So, we talk about destroying the environment. Anybody who understands golf courses, the golf courses are designed to look like the environment. The whole beauty of a golf course is how little impact you have to the environment. That's what makes it beautiful. You talk about building 162 homes, that doesn't help the environment. You're talking about 162 septics, you're talking about 100 deep water docks. Like, this is it, the misinformation and the lies are so egregious and so frustrating, but they're told by very powerful and very rich people who have the money to keep pushing this false propaganda. And it's just a shame that so many of our community members aren't of the understanding. You got folks that are coming out in support of no gates, no golf, or against LVO, who think the man name is spelled LVO. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're taking advantage of citizens who don't have the capacity to really understand what's going on.
It looks like we got another caller. 1 second here. Thanks for tuning in to Marsh City Mike. You on with Lawrence and Willie. You can go ahead.
Hi. I just wanted to say
Hello.
I really appreciate this conversation, because I think that a lot of times
Guess they hung
we
up as
fall into
well.
They're talking. They was talking,
They are?
Lawrence.
They was talking? Oh, darn.
Yeah.
My bad. They'll call back in a few minutes. Yeah, I tell you, this is the first show. You gotta love technology, man. They was talking. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that, caller. Can you hear us?
Yes, I don't know what happened, but I just wanted to call in and say I really appreciate this conversation, because a lot of times we as a community, and when I say that, I mean us as Black people in this community of Beaufort, South Carolina, fall into the court of public opinion without really hearing people out. So, Mr. Turral, I have to say I had a very different opinion of who you were as a person based on things that I'd heard in the community. But listening to you, my perspective has changed. And I just want to say thank you for showing up, and thank you, Lawrence, for hosting this conversation. That's all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for calling in.
Oh man, wow.
Did you hear Lawrence?
Yeah, I heard her. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, this is the first time we take a live calls. Definitely a lot to work on that type of deal, but I just enjoy it. First of all, man, thank you so much for coming on, man, and dealing with all my technical difficulties and that type of deal, man. I think it was a very insightful conversation, and definitely we appreciate you, coming on and sharing your perspective. But that will wrap it up for us. Keep on the lookout for the next episode of Marsh City Mike. Really got anything else for us before we head out?
Yeah. So just before I go, man, one, everybody who came in, thank you. Thank you, Lawrence, for having me. And if I could leave you with anything, man, let's just we gotta do better on doing better. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's time for us as people, man, to really connect, to make calls, to talk to folks, man. We gotta get out this mindset of just assuming we know. Let's get informed. And let's get involved and let's get together, because honestly, it's not about the 1 or 2 or 3 elected officials. It's really about us, the greater population, the people. And we need to remember that we are the people. We got the power. And so we need to just take that back, man. And it comes through love and respect, man. Just having that love for the community and respect for one another. And so again, appreciative of this, and looking forward to your next podcast.
Well, thank you again, man. Like I said, thank you for joining us today. Like I said, keep on the lookout on my Facebook page and Marsh City Mike's Facebook page and Instagram for the next podcast. But until then, stay safe, Beaufort, and have a great night, and we will see you soon.
All right.
All right, man.